Hello and welcome back to Team Tice, the Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling with our Great British Wrestling Roundup. I am your host, the Great British. I'm going to start calling myself the Great British Wrestling Otaku, Mr. Andrew Moore, and D2 Most. And I am thankful that I have Big Daddy Dan here for this third episode of the week. Since our return, and I'll get into why we haven't been putting out episodes as originally planned in just a little while. Big Daddy Dan, how are you, my friend?
I am good. I've had a busy day because this is me, and every day is a busy day.
Mm.
But I'm in a good mood. I'm ready to talk British wrestling. I've just watched possibly my favourite match of the year so far. Andy, you know which one of the two it may be. We shall see. But I am in a good mood and I am ready to talk wrestling.
Indeed. Now, before we kick off, we just want to start off by saying rest in peace to Mad Kurt. Just coming off the back of watching the Mad Kurt tribute show. So we're recording just after the modern Nomad Pro Wrestling tribute show. It was fantastic. It's great. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's brilliant. Uh, you'll laugh, you'll cry. It's emotional, but it's a great show as well. So do yourselves a favor, go watch that. While we're talking about Matt Curtin, we'll talk about mental health. What's the reason why I haven't put out as many episodes as I wanted to? Well, unfortunately, I lost my best friend, my baby boy, my shadow for the last 6 years in my dog Badger, which, as I say, he literally was my shadow for the last 6 years. We got him as a rescue dog. He was about 8 years old when we got him. And obviously, I had some issues beforehand, and it just put me in a bit of a downer, put me in a down mood. So I didn't want to record. It's actually the reason we did go south, and which is the only reason we haven't been recording really properly. Both myself and my wife, both struggled with it, and decided to take her home, which is why I went south a couple of weeks ago, which again, why we didn't put out an episode after I went to the Progress show. And I go to a lot of wrestling shows, and most of the time I don't go with anyone. I do go by myself. But this was actually the only time I actually felt alone at a show.
Hmm.
Just because I wasn't particularly in a great place. And there was lots of people there that I didn't know, and I could have easily sought people out. But that's what mental health can be like and what it can do to people. Uh, and I will say that I have gone back into counseling, and think people, if you need help, there are places available, there are resources available, and mental health is very important in these days. It's a shitty world out there. It's great British wrestling, it's a shitty world. Uh, so if you need help, do speak up, do speak out, and do don't get help.
Yeah,
I
don't
think
be
that
scared to
you're a big mental health advocate over in your counselling, and
ask.
I'm sure you have lots of people resources available.
Yeah, and I've used them before, and it's highly possible I'll use them again.
Mm.
If
I went,
you
as I
need,
say, I went to the Progress show. I got myself a Progress Wrestling tea mug. It's got coffee in it because, as I say, we've just watched a Mad Kurt tribute show. It's late. It's Tuesday, and we're old. I also got myself a CPF Steez hat, which officially makes us the steeziest podcast in the British Wrestling hemisphere right now. So, get yourself a Steez hat, go to CPF, support
I think
CPF.
I think I'm about 23 years too old to wear that.
Oh, no, you got to get it. I actually think it's a really cool hand. It's really comfortable as well. So, yeah, go. If you see CPF, go get yourself Steve's hat. Join us as the steeziest podcast in Brit Wres right now. But yeah, I've got the team. Maybe we should start doing our own team mugs.
Sounds like a plan.
Maybe. Look,
You could have your mug on a mug.
we could. Ooh, I'm not sure. Yeah, do people really want to see this in the morning? Don't know.
It's true. It's true.
Nice to think they did, but my wife likes to see it in the morning, and that's all that matters.
I
Anyway,
think my wife would more appreciate a cup of coffee, to be honest with you.
Uh, it has been, back to back 2 weeks. The two biggest wrestling promotions putting out two of the uh, biggest British wrestling shows, arguably two of the biggest British wrestling rivalries to have ever and Retro UK and Progress. And we're going to talk about both of them. High stakes show, which was just a literal amazing showcase of British wrestling, as was the Progress heavy metal show. It's easy to talk about the big guys, and I'm going to talk about the guys, the big names. But people like Sapphire Reed, who took on Danny Luna for the women's championship, what a performance from the young performer. Really, really stand out. As did Mark True and Kieran Lacey in their match against Yudo Nakashima and Oscar Loiba. Again, just so young to perform in front of such a big crowd on such a big occasion.
It's funny to me that the person on there with the least amount of experience is possibly the biggest name value on there, with the only possible exception of Osprey in Antonio Gogo.
Actually, very true. We say these young performers, but they have been competing and training for a long, long time and are regularly competing across the South East Coast scene and the London scene as well. And yeah, as I can say, I can't say enough good things about Kieran Lacey and Mark Drew, formerly the Power Rangers, no longer seeming to be going by the moniker of Teens with Attitude.
We're not teens anymore.
They're not teens anymore. It's great. Mustafa Ali versus Robbie X. Do we need to say anything? Just two amazing performers. It was supposed to be Shingo Takagi versus Dave, but we ended up getting Trent Seven versus Shingo Takagi. Great match. AJ Gale is another performer who absolutely deserves some attention following this. Another really young performer, somebody who's come up through the ranks of the Rev Pro UK Portsmouth training school. Him and Luke Jacobs in the match before the break were just phenomenal. Really, really, Luke Jacobs absolutely set to become the next biggest superstar in the UK right now, and JJ Gale not particularly far behind. Connor Mills gave himself an incredible showing against Zack Sabre Jr. And of course, you had Will Ospreay, Michael Oku. There was the 6-man scramble as well that Orange Cassidy turned up, put his international global AEW title on the line in a 6-man scramble that had Shigehiro Irie, Spike Trevay, Shaw Samuels, Flash Morgan Webster, Richard Holiday from the Dynasty. Do you want to know a fun little fact about both of these shows?
Give me a fun little fact about both these shows. Is it to do with zebras?
No, not zebras. But there was actually only one crossover performer between the big Progress show and the big Rev Pro UK show.
Mm-hmm.
And both of these shows contained mainly British superstars throughout. The only yes, you had Orange Cassidy, you had Shingo Takagi, Shigeru Irie, and Richard Holiday. 3 of those were in a scramble match. Only one of those performers competed in a single. Oh, Mustafa Ali as well. Can't forget Mustafa Ali. How did I do that? Terrible. But as I say, not many, and it was mainly British.
Well, there is one other one that I think you've left out.
Oscar and Yudo. Yeah.
Referee Oscar.
Yeah.
Who was referee for both of the main events.
Ooh. There you go. Referee Oscar. One of the best referees in the business. Somebody I've got a lot of respect for. Tends to keep the rules down the line. The Progress show, what a phenomenal show as well. Certainly a feel good, happy show. I'll tell you that right now. What did we have? We had Rio, Emerson Jane, absolutely brilliant. Lizzie Evo versus Kanji and a 2 out of 3 falls match. Honestly, almost best in a match of the night. Those two absolutely smashed it. They had the gimmick turnbuckle, which was really, really nice. I thought that was a nice little nod, and the way they wrestled the rest of the match around it was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, Lizzie, Angie absolutely deserved their flowers for that performance. Honestly, would have stolen the show had it not been for Kid Lycos and Spike May.
If you were brave enough to give Lizzie Evo flowers, I would watch that happily.
No, I'd like my head where it is right now. But yeah, Lizzie Kanji absolutely smashed it. Cheeky little buggers in action, and the fact that they did win the tag team titles, with Alexis Falcon becoming the first woman to hold the Progress Tag Team Championship. So, congratulations on that. Can I? I've got no problem with it be the whole intergender or female. That's not my issue. There was a "you deserve it" chant, and I thought to myself,
Why?
why? And it's not mean, and I don't mean it to sound mean, because both of these are phenomenal. Charles Crowley is absolutely one of the best. He's a fantastic in-ring performer, and a lot of people don't give him enough credit for his in-ring work. Alexis Falcon is a bona fide superstar, but they haven't been wrestling as a tag team for that long. They've actually only won 3 matches. All of them have been in Progress. Every other match I found on Cage Match, they had actually lost. I don't. Is it because they put out funny, silly videos?
Is it because people follow their work in TNT as well?
Yeah, look, I think they're phenomenal performers. I really, really do. I don't like the new music. I preferred Charles Crowley's old music. I also preferred Alexis Falcon's old single music. And yeah, yeah, just it was just a bit weird when I sat there. I'm like, wait, why do they deserve it? Not that they don't deserve it, because they are phenomenal performers, but yeah.
But also, why would Gene Money and Danny Black not deserve it?
Oh, G Money and Danny Black would absolutely deserve it as well. And you know what? Danny Black should be with Just Joe Lando as the CPF. Book CPF more progress. Rev
Is
Pro.
Gene Money the new old member of CPF?
He is the new oldest member of. Yes, he is so steezy. There was an excellent dark match. Taishi Ozawa, Noah performer. He took on
Jack Bandicoot.
really, really fun match. I got a great photo of that actually at one point. I'll have to post that one. It was nicely caught. Bullet Kid Lycos too. That was amazing to see Kid Lycos hit both the Death Valley driver on Bullet as well as hitting a brainbuster.
Brainbuster!
Brainbuster! It was phenomenal. And of course, the main event itself. Again, 2 amazing events, and I don't want to compare them too much because they are 2 completely different main events. They are 2 similar, and while have parallel parts to the story, are 2 different stories.
So, I want to talk about the Rev Pro match for a minute.
Go for it.
Now, I watched that with my son Josh, and he has not watched British wrestling before. That was his first match seen on British wrestling. And there was a lot of, yeah, but that was real. Yeah, that connected. Um, it, he enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And 2 things I've taken away from it. Michael Oku has the best super kick in wrestling full stop, in my opinion. And Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world.
Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
Fair. Dave Meltzer, of course, gave the match his 6-star rating.
Did he? I've not
He
heard.
did. He talked. We obviously Will Ospreay made his match against Takeshita where he burned the house down with Takeshita on AEW Revolution. But he said, two completely different matches, and with the overpowering storyline that's been 3 years in the making, he says that the Oku match for that is the better match. But obviously, athletically, the Takeshita Will Ospreay match was better. But
So
it was amazing. It really, really was. What a showcase for this wrestling. 2,000 odd fans around that in the Crystal Palace National Arena. Were they there because it was Will Ospreay's last match? Were they there to finally see Michael Oku finish the story, become that undisputed British heavyweight champion that he was destined to be? It's been a great run so far for Michael Oku, and there's still a lot for him to accomplish as champion. As Dave Mark pointed out very recently, apart from RKJ, obviously, Oku is the only person to have held the British Heavyweight Champion that has not been in some way or shape, form, in contracted talent to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Since the very first champion in Shaw Samuels, in fact,
yeah,
RKJ and Michael Oku have that distinction. There's a lot of challenges waiting in the wing for him, including Connor Mills, including Luke Jacobs, including Zack Sabre Jr., RKJ, Gabriel Kidd. They're all on the cusp. They've all been built as legitimate challenges. It's just going to be who's going to be the next person to be pushed. Obviously, his first big match or his next big match is, of course, against Leighton Buzzard at York Hall for the Revolution Rumble. And I do feel a little bit of sorry for Leighton Buzzard because he has been thrust into a very unenviable situation. He has been thrust into the position to be the follow-up guy for Will Ospreay. Now, Leighton Buzzard is obviously a phenomenal talent, an excellent talent. We've had him on the show. He is a really great person to talk to as well. And he is going to work his ass off to build this, which he has done already. It's already been building towards it. Uh, there must be. You can't tell me you wouldn't be a little bit nervous holding that position right now.
I mean, you can't pretend that you're going to outwork Will Ospreay. However, Leighton Buzzard is being himself, and himself is enough.
Yeah.
He is a brilliant wrestler. We've seen what he can do with interviews and storytelling in ICW. We've seen what he can do with strong wrestling in Japan. He will be able to give Michael Oku a genuine challenge and a genuine story. And yes, it's not going to be the same as having Ospreay, but nothing is going to be the same as having Ospreay. And I think Leighton Buzzard is a great choice to have as a first opponent because he is strong in so many different ways.
Indeed, and of course they have the history, they have the lineage, they have the fact that Leighton Buzzard was the last person to both pin Michael Oku and the last person to defeat Michael Oku when Michael Oku did a Bret Hart and got himself disqualified after the match.
Yeah.
But that was fantastic. And then, of course, he went away to Japan. He's back now. He's seen he aligned himself with Brett Semtex. We've seen this kind of play out recently at both the Live in Sheffield show as well as the Live in London 83. All of these shows are available now on Repro on Demand. So I believe they still got a 2-week free trial. So if you haven't signed up as yet, go get yourself signed up. At least give 2 weeks and watch high stakes. But these follow-ups have been absolutely fantastic. There've been some really standout matches, including Jordan Oliver versus Ricky Knight Jr. The Lane Buzzard Robbie X is really good. Connor Mills and Luke Jacobs fighting to a draw because obviously they got put together, but they don't want either competitor to lose right now. Great booking decision from Andy Quilding with regards to that. We recently had the Grizzled Young Veterans versus True and Lacey, and that was absolutely excellent. Again, True and Lacey really wrestling well beyond their years in just phenomenal performances. There is a crazy 6-man tag elimination at the Live in London 83 show. Charles Samuels, Youngblood, JJ Gale, Michael Oku, and RKJ versus Spike Bay, Reason Rogan, Gabe Kidd, Brett Semtex, and Latham Buzzard. During the match, it goes. There's a crazy brawl at one point, which is just super. Reese and Rogan have just made their debuts for RevPro UK, attacking Yuta Nakashima and Oscar Loiber. Really big fan of Reese and Rogan. Very nasty boys, very demolition like, very Dudley like in a way, and they do hit the 3D as well. But two big Yorkshire tough lads, and great to see them making their RevPro UK debuts. And they were absolutely excellent in this match. I can't wait for their tag team match against the Young Blood, which will be coming up. We'll be talking about that later. During the match, obviously, Oku and RKJ accidentally mix it up, and then RKJ basically turns on Michael Oku, which then gives Leighton Buzzard another chance to get a pinfall over the current undisputed heavyweight champion. Spike Trevay was his usual dick self. So I've so far RevPro UK have followed up the shows really well. Throughout the month of March, they literally put on a show each week. They put on a show last week. This was last weekend, sorry. Now they've got a week break between shows, and then they've got another week break between shows. But they are really pumping it out. They're doing a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all good. More British wrestling for us.
Of course, Progress themselves have also had their follow-up show, which was the For the Love of Progress, part of the For the Love of Wrestling Weekend. There's an excellent match between Lycos Jim and the Grizzled Young Veterans.
Can I just take a second to talk a little bit about the cage match, or are we going to talk about that in a bit?
Oh, actually, yeah. We haven't talked enough about the cage match. Go for it. Talk about the cage match.
Kid Lycos, Spike Trevay in the cage match. Cage matches. I mean, I love a gimmick. I love a gimmick. Cage matches can be a difficult gimmick because they can be messed around with. There can be the no escape cage match, which we were discussing earlier. There can be, you can have pinfalls, you can not have pinfalls. It's this cage match assisted with the story. This cage match, the cage was used as a weapon. Nobody came off the top that was taking part in the match, which I was pleasantly surprised at. There was a person off the top, but they came from the outside. Before you start correcting me.
Yeah.
No, you wanted to. So what I did think as I was watching this cage match, sat in Aldi's car park with my phone on my car steering wheel.
On the Demand Progress app.
On the Demand Progress app. Works really well.
It does, doesn't it?
Really does work well. What I was thinking was, RevPro is WWE. It has the good lighting, it has the good editing, and it's, while not necessarily family friendly, it is aimed at a wider audience. Progress is ECW. It's darker, it's dirtier, it's rougher, it's ruder, it's bloodier. It puts on
I would
amazing
look at
matches.
it more as AEW. It puts
Hmm,
on amazing matches.
it does.
It's built for the fans that really love those big matches. It's got New Japan connections. Uh,
But
just
doesn't
because I think
have,
just because I felt ECW are below Rev Pro UK. I'm just saying, ECW are below Rev Pro UK.
okay. Um, I think you want to be very careful where you say that and who you have around you at the time. ECW also is loved by rabid fans, and Progress is loved by rabid fans.
Yeah.
Um, the cage match was amazing, and you know the other thing that I came out of thinking about this from the cage match for the last couple of years, I've just been saying Spike Trevay, eh, never really bothered. He was there, never really rated him. I did at the end of this match. I really, really did.
Honestly, Spike Trevay is going to go down as one of the best champions in Progress Wrestling history. Honestly, he could be the best champion in Progress Wrestling history. He held the belt. He has actually held the belt physically longer than anybody else. I'm not sure he quite has the racked up defenses Cara Noir did during the No Fat period shows. But he has been part of two of the best rivalries in Progress Wrestling history. He honestly probably goes down as one of the most hated
Yep,
wrestlers in Progress Wrestling history, bar maybe
that
Zack
says
Sabre.
something.
Yep, that absolutely does say something. Fans did something they haven't done, as far as I'm aware, since Jimmy Havoc. They turned their backs. When Spike Trevay made his entrance, they all turned their backs, just like they did to Jimmy Havoc. And I know nobody wants to bring up Jimmy bloody Havoc, but I'll also say Jimmy Havoc and Kid Light and Will Ospreay put Progress Wrestling on the map. And this rivalry between Kid Lycos and Spike Trevay, for me, has been very similar to that rivalry. I would absolutely put it down as, not beat for beat, but it was very, very similar. And I think it holds as much weight. And yeah, I don't think there's been a better champion than Spike.
Who do you want to see going up against Lycos first? As in a
This
storyline long term.
this is the issue I see at the moment. Now, I told you earlier with Retro UK, I felt like I know where the challenges are going to come from. I don't quite know. Obviously, we've got Tate Mayfair's is probably a given. He's probably going to challenge Good Like Us very shortly, very soon. Feel like he's the only person that's been built enough to do so. But other than that, I can't think off the top of my head who's been built to do so. Now, I can name some people who I'd definitely like to see come in. I know his first defense is actually going to be against Leo Rush at Diamond Dust. We'll talk about that later. And that's a great first option. Leo Rush has a lot of pedigree. Uh, will be an excellent match against Kid Lycos, let's face it. I'd like to see him bring Chris Ridgway back for a match
Yep.
with Kid Lycos, 100%. There is somebody I think is out there right now in the who I think should come in if not win super strong style, certainly get some sort of bring him in, get something going with him, give him a win streak. And that is Robert Dreisker and his Amboss unit.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see, so saying Robert Dreisker, he could come in, he could be insulted that Kid Lycos holds the title, a title that was once held by, his mentor, Walter, as a true professional wrestler. And then you'd have him go at Kid Lycos because Kid Lycos does things like Modern Nomad, and him saying, you don't respect wrestling, sort of thing. And
Yeah.
I think that you could easily give him the Super Strong Cell 16 route to it. But I'm sure they'll probably want to bring somebody UK to win Super Strong Cell 16. Probably Luke Jacobs should probably win Super Strong Cell 16 in anyone from the UK. But I think Dreisker would make an excellent foil for Kid like us. And I think there's an easy story to build around. I don't know whether Progress will be interested in doing something like that, but I could see it, especially because his whole thing right now is Amboss. It's the Anvil. They're reshaping and rebuilding European wrestling. So you
Yeah.
can see why they may have an issue with someone like Kid like us now holding the title once held by Walter. For me, it writes itself.
I get that.
But Tate Mayfairs is definitely an option. He's been built. Uh, I'm sure they'll give people like Man like Doris a title shot at some point. I'm sure Luke Jacobs will get a title shot at some point. But I'd like to see him build somebody for a title shot rather than just have a Thunder Bastard match
I'm
for it.
in a really annoying moment where I can't remember the name of the guy I want to come in and do it, and it's going to piss me off. Um,
Where does he normally
British former
wrestle?
Ring of Honor wrestles without shoes. Wife at the ring, who's amazing.
Mark Haskins.
Haskins. Bring
Haskins
in Haskins.
Haskins would be an excellent person to have. I thought they were trying to do something with Haskins and Vicky Haskins a little while ago. So, but he was on a losing streak last time he was there. So they'll definitely need to bring him back in and build him to do it. I don't want. Chris Ridgway holds 2 victories over Kid Lycos in Progress. They were both excellent matches, so I'd definitely like to see those matches again. And you can give Chris Ridgway a straight in. You don't need to do anything with him. He holds those 2 wins over Kid Lycos. You can give him a title shot.
Yeah, I mean, Ridgeway would be amazing. You know that they're going to have good matches. You know they're friends and they get on, so they want to have good matches. So, yeah, that's all good. I would genuinely love to see Haskins because I think he is. And the other person that I think they could do it quite easily with, and it would also work in a David versus Goliath way, is Damo. I know Damo came in and celebrated at the end and raised him on his shoulders with Sanity. I was just waiting to see Sanity absolutely plant him.
I think, see, for me, and again, we're going to go back. And as I say, people are already going to be hating on me for what I said about Crowley and Alexis already. But Sanity should have won the tag team titles, not the cheeky little buggers. I
I'm
really
not
do
going to
think
disagree
that.
with you.
I know
I'm
they
not
had
going
to
to
actually
disagree
get the belts off Charlie Sterling as well, because Charlie Sterling has an actual legitimate injury. He's going to be taking time off. So you're like, well, Charlie, get back in the ring. You're one of the best in the UK, and we would like to see you more. Smoking Aces had a great tag team run. I think him and Nick Riley have always been a phenomenal team. Considering they were kind of put together just for the tournament, and they've really gone on to establish themselves as a great tag team out there and are one of the best in the UK right now. Pretty Souls need to get more love, I think. They're again one of the best tag teams out there right now.
Yeah.
So I believe Sanity should have won the tag team titles. Let's say I feel like man like Doris might get a title shot sooner rather than later. He had the big win over Uichi at the show, which I'm surprised that he's first person to beat him in Progress since he became Yoichi, officially, not including Thunderbastard match. So I thought they were going to build him I thought he could have been a great first challenger if you just built him in the background a little bit, win after win as Yoichi. You could have had him go in again, David versus Goliath type of matchup. There's options out there. I don't think they're built up the same way they have been in Repro UK.
No.
So we'll need to see where it goes. But I think Tate Mayfair's Man Like Doris will probably be in and around the first two people to get the next shot after Leo Rush as his match at the coming show. I'm going to shout out Stuff Pro Wrestling as well because they had a show on the 18th of February, the same day as the big show for RevPro UK. It was an excellent show, as far as I know. They did put it up free to watch on their YouTube channel for a little while. It's now under member. I did see the CPS versus the Quintessentials. Excellent match. I mean, the Quintessentials are tailor made to go to All Japan Wrestling at some point. And I got to see the youngest one, Pedrigo Pud, and he had an excellent match against Jordan Oliver. The crowd were cold. They were tired after 2 days of wrestling already, and nobody was really in the mood. But they absolutely tore the house down, and everybody was cheering by the end of the match. Their match against CPF, really, really good. Big win for them. Love to see the CPF heel brace the heel turn. It's so steezy. It's a great match. Go watch the match. But Soft Pro have been doing great stuff as well. So, big shout out to them. Go subscribe to their YouTube channel.
I missed the Sam Gradwell versus Brady Phillips match. I need to watch that.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's a storyline that Soft Pro have run for quite some time since their very first show, in fact. So love the fact that Soft Pro are really trying to get out there with storylines. The production value is brilliant at Soft Pro. They really know how to put a show together.
Yep.
And they are a great company to support. I saw the bit with Leighton Buzzard and the Collective, one of the best factions in UK right now. But Soft Pro False Idols is their next show, which is going to be on the 6th of May.
And of course, what's even more important, they book Ian Skinner.
They absolutely do book Ian Skinner. And they're putting Ian Skinner in a prominent position, which he absolutely deserves, because he's a cool guy who has lots of friends out there. And he really tried to do right by his tag team partner, Simon Millaby. He just wasn't having anything. So I'm really looking forward to Leon Slater's Ian Skinner championship match, which will no doubt come out of what happened at the end of the Soft Pro show. If you join them as a member on their YouTube channel, you of course can watch the show. I'm going to be watching it back once they put it up. Yeah, no, but I'm signed up to too many channels. Speaking of another channel you can sign up to right now, which is the IWN, the International Wrestling Network, the spiritual successor to IPW and Fight Nation Wrestling, although they don't recognize the last Fight Nation Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still the spiritual successor to this. And they're back at the Unit 9. And they were back at Unit 9 in Milton Keynes with Parade of Champions. This is a show that I really want to see. Now, their YouTube channel just started a membership, which gives you early access, discount, and so forth. I believe the shows will be put up for free as well. I really want to see Jay Joshua versus Connor Mills versus Man Like the Reese.
Yes, please.
I really, really want to see Levi Muir versus Scotty Rourke.
Yeah.
I want to see James Ellis versus Gringo Loco.
Yes.
And so many other great matches, including Rio versus CZ.
Always going to be good.
Always good. I'm a big fan of CZ right now. Absolutely.
You're cutting off on your mic. I don't know what's happened there. We just lost you for a second.
Oh, sorry. He is absolutely fantastic. They are fantastic. CZ is phenomenal. That's what I was saying. Leo Rush versus Robbie X was also on the show. So,
Robbie X.
albeit in which Leo Rush, of course, here on his short UK tour before going off to Germany. We'll talk
Yeah.
more about that in just a second. They then follow up. They had a show that was 29th February. So that's going to be available on YouTube soon, hopefully. Parade of Champions. If you sign up to their membership, you will get early access to that. You'll also get to see All Roads South, which you'll see stars such as Sapphire Reed as she faced Kira Chimera. We also had James Ellis versus Leo Rush. The Bryant brothers were in action, and Mark Haskins versus Levi Muir. So,
I do love Mark Haskins, as I said, and Levi Muir is he's just got such a build, such a presence when he's in the ring, and I am surprised that we don't see Levi Muir being used more often by some of the companies in the UK. I'm on the IWN chat group on Facebook, as while I may have stepped away from Twitter, and it is Twitter, it's not X, and you may have missed me, you may not. I I do still go on the chat group for IWN, and there's lots of interesting things coming up with them. It should be brilliant.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I'm very, very interested in what IWN have been doing. They have put together some really, really good shows. I think there's three shows available. Two shows available on YouTube already for free. So definitely go check them out. The Super 8 show and their first show back. And of course, they've been using Mark Haskins and Chris Ridgway regular basis. So if you definitely want to see what they're up to. And I love the fact that they've pushed Jay Joshua. Jay Joshua is somebody I am a huge fan of.
Yep.
Samoa Joe meets Shigehiro Irie. He is a complete badass. Very softly spoken, though.
He's also a bit of a teddy bear.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the Shigehiro Irie part.
Yeah.
Big wrestling teddy bear, Shigehiro Irie. I mean, come on, he looks like Winnie the Pooh. But not Jay Joshua, Shigehiro. Looks like Winnie the Pooh. Not Xi Jinping. Don't want to get cancelled in China, obviously.
Or just battered.
Or just battered, yeah. Drone strike ahead. But yeah, Jay Joshua's I'm just a huge fan of. They've also, again, they've been pushing Reese and Rogan. Huge fan of Reese and Rogan, what they've been doing as well. So go support IWN Wrestling. This past weekend, Attack Pro Wrestling had their annual press start 7, which they streamed free on YouTube and are still available to watch on YouTube. Well, it was the last time I checked, and you'll get to see the likes of Lara Croft versus Solid Snake, Wii Sports versus Ash and Pikachu, Super Smash Bro battle gauntlet thing, Mario, Luigi, and Toad take on the skaters from Tony Hawk.
You know what? That's not even the weirdest thing from Tony Hawk. Did you know there is a Tony Hawk's cover band?
No.
There is a band that go around playing the soundtrack to the Tony Hawk's games. Travel all over the world doing it.
You know, these shows aren't for me. Now, look, they do get serious at times, and obviously they stop the charades and get really serious, and then they'll break it again. Yeah, it's that whole breaking canon. And if you remember my chat with Dan from Pro Wrestling News, don't like people breaking canon.
I do.
But it's it's good fun. I can certainly understand why other people really like this type of thing, and I can certainly understand why a live crowd would absolutely love it. It was a lot of fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie, I did. It was a lot of fun, and so Kanji was Laura Croft, Danny Jones was Solid Snake, the Bryant brothers were Mario, Luigi, and Toad. Subculture with Tony Hawk skaters, and
Brendan White as Bowser.
And Brendan White as Bowser, he was the best. In fact, he was my favorite. If I'm gonna have a favorite, it was Brendan White as Bowser. Yeah, it's go support it, go check it out. It's available for free.
Hold on. We've got another question here then.
What's that?
Andy,
What's
if you
that?
were taking part or commentating rather, let's be sensible here, commentating on Attack Pro, who would you have chosen to be from the gaming world?
I'm not a huge gamer. I like the FIFA Pro, and every now and then I get a WWE 2K. What was the last game?
You could have just been the cover of Football Manager and the big coat.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah, could you just dress up in a suit? I'm Football Manager. I could be a Sims character. I do I do play Sims 4, Grand Theft Auto. I could have been Trevor Phillips. Yeah, I definitely I could have been Trevor Phillips. I can't remember the guy's name from Ghost of Tsushima. I enjoyed playing that as well.
I haven't actually played that.
Yeah.
Marcus Phoenix. Love me some Gears of War. Although actually probably Baird just because he's got a big gob.
I think our old Steven Southern, the old tribal chief for the Big Fat Geeks, he would absolutely love it. I'd love to know who he would actually pick. We'll have to get him back on. While we're talking, Attack Wrestling, part of the Welsh wrestling scene, I feel like an unsung hero of the Welsh wrestling scene are Slam Masters Wrestling. They were in action last weekend. I hope they put some of these matches on YouTube because they usually put a few of their matches out on YouTube. And they had Leo Rush versus the Wild Boar, which admittedly is not a match I would have put together. But when you put it together, it's a really intriguing matchup, don't you think?
Yeah. Greedy Souls versus the Professionals, Joel Redman and Eddie Ryan will be a great match as well.
Mm.
I've,
That's a man that's just not used enough, is he? Joel Redman.
I've been lucky enough to introduce Joel Redman a couple of times and spend a little bit of time with him. And watching him wrestle is just when people say, "Oh, they're such a smooth wrestler," or "Oh, they're just so technical." He's like watching someone doing Tai Chi. It's just this like everything works for a reason. He's brilliant.
British Bulldog before he put on far too much smash. He's just an absolutely excellent performer. And yeah, for me, doesn't get used enough. Really, really doesn't. And John, the guy over at Slam Masters, is a fantastic guy. We've had him on the show previously. Lovely, lovely guy. I know he did an interview with Hitting the Turnbuckle very recently, so go check that interview out. But they deserve a lot of credit for when Welsh Wrestling returned, when post COVID. They've done a really great job, and I know they work very, very closely now with New Wave Wrestling in Brendan, and helping to bed in young talent as well. But I did notice the man like the Reese did lose the Slam Masters Championship though, so to Martin Grant, so big win for him. Mark Andrews versus James Ellis is also a match of Welsh generations almost. The brilliance James Ellis is an excellent, excellent young talent, a great heel coming up in the Welsh scene right now, and I think a match between him and Andrews would be really, really interesting. Of course, he is the IWN champion right now as well, James Ellis.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't actually say for the International Wrestling Network, Hollywood Haley J was in town
Not only in town, she won
wrestling.
her match.
She did. She became the
Yep.
IWN Women's Champion. Of course, this is UK, so she can't get any hold any week.
I'm
But
surprised she got in the country, to be honest. I thought they were going to do a jar rule on her.
but yeah, I'd like to see how that match with Kira Chimera went down because they've really been building Chimera up, so it's going to be interesting to see how that match went down and how she ended up not becoming the women's champion because it just looked like she was going to become the women's champion. So it's going to be interesting to find out who
Two
why.
beers.
Yeah.
Kira Chimera owes
And
me 2 beers.
Of course, with Slam Masters Wrestling, there was LA Taylor versus Lizzie Evo as well. So want to check that out when that comes out. The new breed of ICW, of course, under new ownership now. What do you make of that?
I've missed it because I've not been on Twitter.
Good point. Yeah, they're under new ownership. I can't remember who I took over, but they are now under new ownership and they are under a new direction, which looks like to be going back to more of the insanity, as far as Jack Jester wanted, and to emphasize that they had their first ever death match.
Mm.
I'm surprised ICW never actually had a death match. They,
Yeah.
I mean, a death match is just a hardcore match in a different guy.
I mean, I'm sure Jack Jester had a death match with
I'm sure they probably had some sort of full
Wolfie.
insanity match or some other crazy stipulation, but it was never actually stated as a death match.
I guess so.
Possibly. Well, that's what they were claiming anyway, that it was the first ever
Well,
death match.
what I will say is, looking at the card for Wait and Bleed, that's my kind of ICW card. That's names I love from ICW that are associated with ICW, and I'm very happy to see them all there.
Yeah, they're still very much on a rebuild. I think the loss of Leighton Buzzard, with Buzzard moving back down south, I think, yeah, that did hit him. To be honest, losing Leighton Buzzard for a short period. He was an excellent champion for ICW. There are a lot of great young talent there still. Eddie Castle, Levi, Eddie, Dylan Thorne,
Levi Muir, not
Levi.
Levi Muir,
Well, no,
Levi. Oh, crap.
it's Theodoros, Craig Anthony. There are a lot of. It's just Levi, isn't it? That's who we're thinking of.
Yeah, and then bring in Kings of the North, bring in our favourite tag team, our absolute favourite tag team. Bring in Molly, bring in Casey, bring in the She-Wolves.
Yeah, Rio, of course, defended her women's championship. She's now the longest reigning ICW women's champion in history. So, congratulations, Rio. The only person to, of course, hold both the ICW and the Progress Wrestling Championship at the same time. Now they just need to give her the Rev Pro UK Championship.
Give her all the gold.
Give her all the gold. In
Yeah.
fact, you know what, Mr. Quilden, book Rio. Why are you not booking Rio? Doesn't make sense, I tell you. Doesn't make sense. This is available on Triller TV, of course, which is the replacement of Fight TV, but it's available on their Triller Plus. Yeah, I think it's Triller Plus. $5.99, $7.99 a month. But yeah, you can check out ICW. You can also see North Wrestling NCL on Triller TV, and they had their last show just been put up, which was All Roads Lead North, which is a fantastic show that has the incredible championship match of Leon Slater versus Michael Oku. Wasn't quite as good as the Bailey Slater match, but was an excellent match, of course, to just great representations of British wrestling in Leon Slater and Michael Oku. Good to see Leon Slater get the push over Oku in North Wrestling, retaining the title. Ian Skinner made his debut. He's another person I wonder how much he'll be wrestling for ICW in the near future, because he's moved to Yorkshire now. He's made his home base in Yorkshire, so hopefully we'll see him more on a lot more UK cards. Big fan of Ian Skinner. We are one of his many friends that he
We are
has,
indeed.
because he's such a cool guy. Amir Jordan versus Will Cruz was a great match. As you can imagine, Will Cruz is an excellent young star. But That's a very good. And of course, Emerson, Jane, and Rio became the North Wrestling Tag Team Champions, and that was an
Good.
excellent match against Lycos Jim and deserving tag team champions. It was really, really good matchup. And it's I think it was only a week before that they captured the TNT Ignition, TNT Extreme Women's Tag Team Champions. So that Rio really is holding all the gold right now.
Mhm.
She literally has gold in nearly all the big top promotions. But yeah, I mean, that's everything that's happened in the last few weeks. It's been mad. What do you think?
Well, I think that is mad. There is something sort of non-wrestling but wrestling related that happened last week for me.
Ooh, do tell.
So with my big gold chain on, as chair of the council, I do a fundraising event every year. And my fundraising event was for two awesome charities, Feed Up Warm Up, they're a homeless charity, and Resolve, which is a drug alcohol charity. And I realised that if I was going to do the introductions and if I was going to do the silent auction and the raffle and the award ceremony, people were going to be bored of the sound of my voice, much like this podcast. However, I decided the best thing to do would be to hire an MC, and not just any MC. I hired the best. I got Chase Anthony to be my MC. He did an amazing job. He introduced everyone as they came in. And we had the North Hearts Heroes Award. And there was a young man called Rambir. He's 10 years old. He's had brain tumours. He's had multiple surgeries. And at 10 years old, he is doing the kind of volunteer work that is just out of this world. He's constantly out helping people that need it. And he's just an inspiration. He won the Young Heroes Award. So Chase decided to give him a true wrestler's entrance. And this kid's eyes just lit up. Chase Anthony is a brilliant ring announcer. If you need a ring announcer in the southeast of England, and obviously you want me, but if you can't have me, Chase Anthony is great.
That sounds fantastic. Well done, Daddy Dan. But yeah, no, you as you say, mentioned at the show, Big Daddy Dan does lots of great work for the Ledgeworth Council. So very busy man. We're lucky to have him back here for our guest of the week. Off a back of an incredible past few weeks for British wrestling. It's not going to stop there. It's going to continue. We've got a few things. Let's start talking about what's coming up, what's coming your way this week, this weekend, over the next few days. Well, I can't talk about next week without talking about WXW. I know Dan's his face already. He's just like, oh, W. But yes, WXW. It is 16-carat gold time in Oberhausen at the Turban Hala. It's going to be from the 8th of March to the 10th of to the 11th. No, yeah, the 11th of March. And the whole thing is going to be streamed live for the very first time on their YouTube channel, WXW 2.0. Oh, sorry, WXW Now 2.0. And we're going to be well represented here from the Brits. We are indeed. There's going to be quite a few guys in action, including Michael Oku, Luke Jacobs, Jay Joshua, Liam Slater, Sapphire Reed, and Anita Vaughan, all going to be part of the weekend's proceedings. Oku and Jacobs will be part of the tournament itself. Jacobs is set to face man like Manders in the first round of the 16 carat. That is just going to be big, meaty, slappity. Just yeah, it's gonna be there's gonna be lots of slappy sounds, I believe, and I doubt there'll be much wrestling holds because it'll just be a pure beat the crap out of each other moment. And Michael Oku will be facing Joseph Fennick Jr., formerly Senza Volto, no longer Senza Volto. He has been demasking WXW, not everywhere, but in WXW he has been demasking. He now wrestles under his real name, Joseph Fennick Jr. He's been quite a tear. Also in action, you have a Gil Blanc versus a Leo Rush in the first round. Lawrence Roman versus Oscar Leuber in the first round. Elijah Bloom versus Masato Tanaka. Yes, that Masato Tanaka. Of course, is going to be in the UK before he arrives in Germany for a match in progress. We'll talk about that in just a second. Gringo Loco is going to be in action against Mike Di Vecchio, the Belgian War Machine. Stephanie Mays is the third woman to enter 16 karat gold. It'll be interesting to see how far she gets in this tournament as she faces off against Icarus, formerly of the Arrows of Hungary, a member of Amboss. And then you have Pro Wrestling Noah, global GHC heavyweight champion, El Hijo Dr. Wagner Jr. against Peter Tahani. So what do you think? What do you think of Jacobs and Oku's chances?
I reckon they both actually have fairly high chances. Oku, unfortunately, not as strong as Jacobs, bearing in mind who he's up against. But Jacobs, I can see going a decent way in the tournament. Oku, I'd like to think could get further, but I think there's just too much behind the newly unmasked Joseph Fenech Jr.
It is, but I mean, I've got Oku down as one of my three favorites.
I'd like to see Oku versus Gringo Loco.
It would be a very interesting matchup. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've got Oku down as one of the three favorites for the tournament. I think it's between him, a Gil Blanc, or Peter Tahani.
Mm-hmm.
Based on for Tahani and a Gil Blanc, it's because they have momentum going into the tournament, including a match against each other very recently. They both have history and story with the current WXW Unified Champion, Robert Dreisker. But of course, Michael Oku right now is the biggest, hottest independent wrestler in Europe.
Chris Jericho's favorite wrestler.
You know, almost one of the biggest, hottest independent talents in all of the world right now is Michael Oku. Coming off the back of that match against Will Ospreay, given the fact that he's a Rev Pro UK champion, I do think he has a good chance of doing what only Zack Sabre Jr. and Cara Noir have done previously, and that is win 16 karat gold as a British person. Because before previously, the tournament has, of course, been won by two Brits in the past. Zack Sabre Jr. and Cara Noir have both won 16 karat gold. Should be an absolutely fantastic weekend tournament. And there are the Gil Blanc Leo Rush match is just, again, that is a sumptuous first round match.
I mean,
Sorry, go.
I'm a bit gutted because Masato Tanaka, one of my favorite wrestlers from ECW,
Of course.
is taking on Luke Jacobs at the Progress show on Thursday night. And I can't go because I have planning.
Oh.
And I would have been going to that match. So maybe I'll be lucky. And
Quickly get yourself on the flying up out to Germany.
don't tell me. I am flying to New Orleans, so maybe I'll be able to pick up some wrestling while I'm there in May. But yeah, this is going to be an amazing tournament. And of course, you've got Jay Joshua and Luke Jacobs who are going to be part of the Ambition tournament.
Yes. And they're going to be facing each other in the first round of the Ambition tournament. Yeah, I think the German wrestling fans in particular are really going to take to both Jay Joshua and Luke Jacobs. Luke Jacobs has been in WXW before; they already have. The German wrestling fans are also big fans of Michael Oku, so I could definitely see them going on to do very well over the weekend. Sapphire Reed and Liam Slater are both set to be part of the WXW wildcard show. These are shows that they literally don't have the regular WXW roster on the show. They literally just bring in a bunch of people that they can get a good look at in person. And some of these guys, I'm sure, will go on to become part of the roster full time. Especially Sapphire Reed, although they don't have a women's division anymore. But technically, they've just opened up all of their divisions to both genders, all genders. So that's a very interesting thing that WXW did. They had a unifying match between Robert Dreisker and Masha Slamovich at the anniversary show. And to be honest, I haven't had a chance to speak about this match. That match was so bloody good. Masha Slamovich versus Robert Dreisker. They laid out such an intricate, fantastic match. That had the big return of Killer Kelly as well, of course, MK Ultra, TNT Extreme, TNA Women's Tag Team Champions, Knockout Tag Team Champions, whatever it would want to be. But the match between Masha Slamovich and Robert Dreisker was excellent, and I really think people should go back to the anniversary show and watch that match, as well as watching the Michael Oku versus Mike DiVecchio match, which was again just insanely good. Mike DiVecchio's, he's like 235 pounds, but he moves around the ring like he's a goddamn cruiserweight here in Hurricane Ranas and Topo Suicidas. It's just phenomenal. Him and Gringo Loco, both of them had a 6-man tag during the World Tag Team Festival against each other. Excellent match. So again, as a first round match, that's going to be excellent. I'm really looking forward to 16 Carat. And yes, I will be watching live 6 shows over 3 days. Night 1 on Friday, We Love Wrestling Wildcard, the Ambition Tournament, and night 2 on Saturday. On Sunday, it's another We Love Wrestling show, and then night 3 of 16 Carat. It's just a phenomenal weekend. I really, 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 really want to be out there one week. But you mentioned Progress Diamond. There's the whole show to talk about. What do you think of the card? Let me give you.
So the card is Kid Lycos versus Leo Rush for the championship. Nice. El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Kid Lycos 2. Luke Jacob versus Masato Tanaka.
Slappy.
So
Slappy.
I'll tell you what, Tanaka can still go. He
Yeah.
can still really go. And he gives 0 craps. Taishi Okazawa versus Connor Mills. That could be the sleeper match of the night. Sunshine Machine versus True and Lacey. We love Sunshine Machine.
Love True and Lacey.
Tate Mayfair's. Takeness is greatness. I haven't been able to say that in ages.
It is greatness. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this one. Galeno or Galeno? Delmar?
I got a clue.
Not
a wrestler I'm familiar with.
Probably somebody who's traveling in with El Hijo Dr. Wagner Jr.
And everybody needs more Nina. Nina Samuels versus Emerson Jane. That match, again, is going to be hard-hitting. And the cheeky little buggers will take on Dominatus Reginum, Nick Riley, and Bullet.
Don't you mean Dominated Rectum? Dominus Regnum of it's gonna be Nick, because of course
it's a Dominated Rectum versus some buggers. That could go interestingly.
Yes, that's why they have Dominated Rectums. Obviously the obligatory rematch. Of course, Charlie Sterling can't be part of it. We mentioned Kid Lycos, Leo Rush earlier. It's a great choice for a first title defense. Leo Rush, of course, has lots of pedigree, deserving of a title shot. So it's going to be bloody excellent. If it has anything like the Kid Lycos 2 versus Leo Rush match that they had in the Modern Pro Wrestling tribute show for Mad Kurt, it will be excellent. We'll put it that way. Dr. Wagner Jr.
Show on Thursday. Oh, sorry, go on. Dr. Wagner, El Hijo did Dr. Wagner Jr. Brilliant wrestler, technical, fast, and flipping.
Ozawa versus Connor Mills, you said the sleeper match. I really do agree with you. Ozawa, he is put together. It's no wonder the Pro Wrestling Noah guys are, behind as well. No wonder they've got him out here right now, just improving his game even more. He is just put together. He's one of the best drop kicks I've seen. Just so bloody good. But yeah, I think he's definitely going to be a future star, and that's going to be a great match. On the same night, which is Thursday night, we should have said, is Pro Wrestling Eve in London at the Big Penny Social for beers, brawls, and badass bitches.
Yeah.
Sapphire Reed gets her title shot against Nina Samuels after, of course, Sapphire Reed went on the incredible run for the Pro Wrestling Eve. She won, not having a win before the tournament, going on to win 4 straight matches, winning the tournament, going on to defeat Miyu Yamashita in an incredible match, only to have her title stolen almost immediately by Nina Samuels, who went all of 2023 without being pinned in Pro Wrestling Eve. So pinned or submitted. So that's going to be excellent. Royal Aces versus Operation SAS, Sky Smithson and Nightshade. Sue Young is in action, as well as another performer that they've brought in from Japan, Risa Serra. The Decibels, Lana and Ivy, they're going to be in action against the M62 Wrecking Crew, Alexis Falcon and Lizzie Evo. Session with Martina versus Emerson Jane, Alex Windsor versus LA Taylor, and Rachel Armstrong versus Tay Honma, another performer again that Pro Wrestling Eve have brought in from Japan. Over on their YouTube channel right now, their last show is available to watch. Well, half of their last show is available to watch for free. The rest of it is under membership. But it's Alex Windsor versus ZZ in the opening match. Excellent. Just so good. One of the top matches I've seen this year. Really can't rate it high enough. ZZ is excellent. So is Alex Windsor. Best women's wrestling in the world right now is in the UK.
Yes, 100%. So many amazing British female wrestlers at the moment. And of course, my favourites on there, I love Ivy to pieces, even though she is obviously absolutely hated and nasty and horrible. That's the way she's meant to be. She is amazing and a great, great wrestler. And teaming up with Lana is just great. They are such a fantastic team. You really want to hate them. But versus the Wrecking Crew, yes, please.
Absolutely. Again, Alexis Falcon and Lizzie Evo, two superb talents. I really love the name the M62 Wrecking Crew as well. Just, really, really love that. And yeah, that's going to be one of the matches of the night, no doubt. Windsor versus LA Taylor's a good one, LA Taylor, Demolition Woman, big, strong. Be a great match against Alex Windsor. And great to see, of course, Pro Wrestling Eve always trying to bring the best young talent in from Japan to work alongside the typical Pro Wrestling Eve UK talent. They're back in action the next night as well on Friday night. They got 2 nights they're going. It's International Women's Night. It is Pro Wrestling Eve, women behaving badly. It'll be Sue Young versus Sapphire Reed. Will it be for the Pro Wrestling Eve Championship? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. The winner of the SAS and the Royal Aces match will then face the Decibels. And the loser of the Aces versus SAS match will face Top Shagger and her Donny. Yes, that is the official tag name of Emerson Jane and Kanji. Also in action, Lisa Serra versus Casey. Great to see Casey back wrestling following a long absence. Hopefully she'll be taking it easy. I'm sure she won't. Alex Windsor versus Tay Honma. Rachel Armstrong versus L.A. Taylor. Session of Martina versus Debbie Keitel. Rachel Armstrong is from the US independent wrestling scene. I know she's going to be a part of the 16 Carat weekends proceeding, and so she's going to have a stopover in the UK before heading out to Germany. Right, up in Leeds, Yorkshire way, you've got True Grit Wrestling with True Grit Redemption. And Serico, recently on the Gladiators, by the way. And Serico was defending his title against Brady Phillips. We mentioned them before. Ivy and Rio, always going to be great. Always going to be an excellent match. Thrash Boat versus At two of our favorite young tag teams in action now. That I'm calling it now. That's going to be match of the night. You've also got Lana Austin versus Natalie Sykes, the 21st century liability that she is. Ellis Barker and there is a triple threat tag team match. No, it's a fatal four. Ellis Barker versus HT Drake versus Jet Marshall versus Jack Turner. Really a big fan of Jet Marshall. I saw somebody compare him he called him the UK homicide recently after his match with Clint Margera. And I do see the similarities. Jet Marshall is a bit on the smaller side. And he does have that swagger. I love the fact that he comes out to hip hop that I used to listen to when I was growing up. So big up Jet Marshall for that.
I bet he hasn't got the same voice.
But he doesn't have the same voice, but yeah, he is a legit crazy little dude. Fantastic wrestler, young performer. Recently challenged Clint Margera for the North Wrestling Extreme title, part of that last North Wrestling show we talked about that's available on Triller TV. Worth checking out. Meat Wagon, Henderson Daniels and Troy Ryan are taking on Misery Business. Wing Commander Nash will also be in action, doing some great work in the Leeds and Yorkshire area is True Grit Wrestling.
On the 9th of March, we have New Generation Wrestling in Hull. Sam Bailey will take on Matt Myers. Rampage takes on Ace Matthews. Lizzie Evo will take on Zizi. Nathan Cruz versus Vusic. Alexis Falcon versus Lucy Sky, and Reese and Rogan will be in action.
They were indeed. Reese and Rogan will be making their New Generation Wrestling debut. One of the long-running promotions out there in the UK made their return just a couple of very late on, following COVID. They don't have an on-demand service or anything, so you can't actually see their past shows, which is a bit disappointing. But they are putting on big shows. I know they had one of their very recent shows. You know, they had about 1,000 people in attendance. They are doing great work over there, but it's a shame that they're just not putting it up on available to watch elsewhere. I know one of your favorite promotions is in action on the 10th of March.
They are indeed. United Wrestling have got their big show on the 10th of March. I love United, and I would love to be sat on a sofa for this show. Levi Grace versus Josh Foles versus Adonis Payne. Nadia Sapphire versus Ronnie Knox versus Violet Knight. Alexis Falcon versus Artemis. That match is going to kick all of the arse. Scouse and Proud, Lizzie and Harley take on the Dogs Bollocks, Scotty Rourke and Kira Chimera. If you can't kill each other, join each other. Pharrell versus Luna Blue, and Nina Samuels takes on Simon Quest for the United Wrestling Championship.
I believe Luna Blue is now just going as a Luna.
Oh, okay.
She has dropped the blue. She has done the WWE. She's gotten rid of the last name. She's Vince McMahon herself.
I'll tell you what.
Great talent.
She is a brilliant talent. Absolutely brilliant talent. And yeah, love her to bits. But Artemis, my daughter's favourite wrestler, possibly my wife's favourite wrestler, one of my favourite wrestlers, taking on Alexis Falcon. That is going to be a great match.
I believe Violet Knight has a lot of promise and buzz about. I haven't seen her in action yet myself. I know you saw her in one of the matches at United recently.
Yeah, I did see her. She has definitely got a lot of potential, but she has got herself in a difficult match there. Nadia Sapphire, we know seen and worked with at Full Force. Great wrestler, great personality as well. Ronnie Knox. We do you remember when we interviewed Mike, Smashing Mike,
Oh, good old Smashing Mike.
talking about training with Ronnie Knox and talking about how good she is. Now, Ronnie Knox, a former UBW, first ever UBW Women's Champion. Violet Knight has got herself in a very difficult situation with those two women.
Absolutely. Dogs Bollocks, Scotty Rourke and Kyra Chimera recently had a match against the Cheeky Little Buggers out in France for Brit Wrestling, RIXE, which is that you can check their shows out. Actually, they're free on YouTube. They're in French, but if you get past that, they do have some great action on the show. And Kira Chimera and Scotty Rourke, they do hold a win over the Cheeky Little Buggers over in that promotion. So maybe they should get a shot at the Progress Tag Team Championships.
Yes, please. They're fitting perfectly in Progress.
Artemis and Adonis Payne also have a win over the Cheeky Little Buggers. So maybe again they should get a shot. There's a lot of interesting options out there for them out there. Following on from that, we'll go on to what's going on the 15th of March. Purpose Wrestling. They're at the Merton R Space in Wimbledon. They're always putting together great cards, and this one's no different. It's going to have Sapphire Reed versus Harley Hudson on it. They recently fought each other at Pro Wrestling Eve. Great match. Two amazing young talents, and Dan on commentary, not yourself, Big Daddy Dan, but Dan from Pro Wrestling Eve on commentary made me very sad when he told me that Sapphire Reed and Hardy Hudson's combined age is how old I am.
I'm not playing this game.
Yeah, just putting it out there. I know it's just not fair, is it? All these young people with bloody getting old. Watching these people grow up, Callum Newman, Just Joe Lando, Danny, so much great young talent in the UK. It's just not fair. David Francesco versus Sky Spencer. That's an interesting one.
Ooh.
Grits and Glam, Alex Windsor and Amira are going to be facing Act 2. And for the Purpose Wrestling Championship, it is Connor Mills versus Michael Oku as they rehash their long-running rivalry, partnership, love-hate. They're always going to be intertwined, really. You know, destination everywhere. You can't blame it. I'm sure there's going to be other matches being announced as well. You can check Purpose out. They throw a few matches on YouTube every now and then for free. You can watch their full shows via their Patreon service over on YouTube. So Purpose Wrestling, go support them. Merton Art Space. Pro Wrestling Chaos down in Bristol region. They have their show coming up. They've got Connor Mills versus Leighton Buzzard for the Pro Wrestling Chaos Championship. Connor Mills is the current Pro Wrestling Chaos champion. You've also got Nico Angelo defending the All Wales Championship against Luke Cage. And then the winners of this match will go on to face each other at a later date to become the undisputed Pro Wrestling King of Chaos champion.
Go on, Nico.
Yeah, Nico. Leon Cage is. I don't know if you've seen him yet. He's before IWN's first show, return show. Check that one out. Leon Cage is on the card. He has a singles match. He's also in the second IWN show as well. Young lad. Very, very high potential. This is a young pup with big paws. He's a big lad. He's karate expert. He's been trained at New Wave Wrestling by Brendan and Danny Jones and Flash Morgan Webster and Wild Boar. He is, I believe, only 17 at the moment.
Oh, sod off.
I know. It's just
Well,
not fair.
the futurist Leon
This
Cage.
guy has the world at his feet at some point. Again, a tailor-made performer for All Japan Pro Wrestling. Honestly, I really big things in his future. And
John has interviewed him in November on his podcast, so it's worth going back and having a look at that one. And if you go onto the Tube of You will find Leon Cage versus Eden Rain from Royal Imperial Wrestling, and Leon Cage versus Wild Boar from Pro Wrestling Carnage.
yeah, check those matches out. I definitely, in fact, I'm going to do that. I haven't seen those matches yet, so I'm going to go do that after we finish recording. Their last show, Sixth Session, has just gone up on their Pro Wrestling Chaos on Demand service, or Combat Sports Federation. They have their service available, and you can go check out their shows. I again really like the fact they're pushing guys like Nico Angelo, Jay Joshua, pushing guys like Leon Cage. Eddie Ryan's another guy who probably doesn't get enough attention in the UK. Martin Kirby's over there regularly, as well as Joseph Connors. They've got a good little roster, and they do put together some great cards. So Pro Wrestling Chaos down in Bristol. And the final show we'll talk about for this week is on the 17th of March, and it's RevPro UK's first live in Coventry show. Obviously taking over the HMV Empire, previously run by Wrestle Carnival and Gary Ward. Of course, Gary Ward doing work with RevPro UK now, and obviously why RevPro UK are coming in to the HMV Empire. And they've announced 4 matches so far, but they are some doozies.
Yeah, just a bit. I was just looking at this card because just a little behind the scenes thing for those listening and watching. Andy writes all of the things, and I just sit here and read them. 17th of March, you hadn't actually written what the company was, and I was looking at the lineup and thinking, bloody hell, that's a great lineup. Who is it? Who is it? Now I know who it is and where it is. Yeah, it makes sense. Here are the matches: Alexis Falcon versus Kanji. Yes, that's good. Reese and Rogan versus Youngblood. Yes, that's good. Greedy Souls versus Subculture. That is excellent. And do you want to know what's phenomenal? Michael Oku versus Man Like Derice.
Indeed. And to make the Greedy Soul subculture even bigger, of course, it's already going to be a great match of 2 of the best Welsh tag teams we've ever been tag teams. It's for the RevPro UK Tag Team Championships, and the winner will face the will face the grizzled young veterans at the Revolution Rumble on the 31st of March. And I really hope it's going to be the Greedy Souls.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I get you. I understand that. 17th, 17th. I'm off work that day.
Coventry, it's not that far.
How far is Coventry?
I don't know. It was awkward on the train. I had to go into London, which was a bit of a dick. But
Well, you never like going to London.
mm.
You're a miserable old sod. Coventry is 2 hours away. It's not that far. It's right by Warwick. Of course it bloody is. I've done work. Yeah, okay, I'll shut up now. Go on.
But yeah, you can certainly see Gary's influence, of course, because I know Gary is a huge fan of Man Like Derice. Man Like Derice, of course, held the Wrestle Carnival Championship for a long, long time. I know Man Like Derice has made an appearance for RevPro UK once or twice before, but he's never really established himself as a regular at RevPro UK. And as I say, Gary's just a huge fan, and of course, Coventry, the HMV Empire means so much to him to be able to bring RevPro UK to it instead of Wrestle Carnival. The Reese and Rogan versus Youngblood match, I think that's going to be really, really just so bloody good as well. Again, I know Gary is a big fan of Reese and Rogan. I'm not surprised. These guys are just absolutely fantastic. And I'm really, as we mentioned, British wrestling, it is the hottest scene in independent wrestling anywhere in the world right now.
Yeah.
I'm putting that is my hot take of the show. Well, actually, it's not my first hot take of the show, but it's not going to be my last either. But my hot take right now is the UK Brit Wres scene is the best independent wrestling scene in the world right now.
Yeah, it is.
And when you can have Rev Pro UK and Progress put on two shows on separate weekends, two massive shows, two huge shows, and actually think that there was only one crossover performer on both shows, which was Spike Trevay. He both opened the show for Rev Pro UK and closed the show for Progress Wrestling. And I'm sure they're building him to be Michael Oku, to face Michael Oku at some point. Of course they will. And that's a match I definitely really want to see, because obviously they've been kept apart. So it's going to be really interesting. I think that'll be a great match at some point. Don't know when. Has to be a long build though, I think, again. And they have been doing a great job of, they haven't just brought him in and gone, he gets the championship match straight away. They're making Spike work his way through.
Oh, put him with Gideon Gray.
I mean, I get it, but does he need it?
He doesn't
I
need
get it.
you put the Toriness of Spike with the Lord Gideon Gray, and the two of them. No, he doesn't need it, but it's always good for a heel to have a heel manager. And as far as Rev Pro history goes, Gideon Gray is the greatest heel manager they have ever had.
Absolutely. But on a different note, would it not
Yeah.
be great to build him in Rev Pro UK as somebody who doesn't have the help that he has elsewhere? Like, throughout his run at Progress, obviously Donna's rating them were big part of his run, big part of the reason. Almost his little tribal minions like Roman Reigns has, they interfere in every match. They make sure he retains the title. I think it's good to build him as this evil, sadistic heel that's just being evil and sadistic heel, but is
Who
also
else the
doing it by
top
himself.
heels
What's
in?
that?
Who else the top heels in Rev Pro at the moment?
Uh, Connor Mills is one of definitely probably the top heel right now, and he'll definitely be in amongst Oku's challenges very soon. Whether he wins the Rumble, possibly. Then you have Spike. Luke Jacobs has kind of turned heel more recently. He did attack JJ Gale for calling himself the heart and soul of Rev Pro UK's division. So you could kind of say that Luke Jacobs possibly going heel. He does hold a win over Michael Oku and has bounced back to his recent losses to the Stone Pitbull. Ishii.
Tomohiro
He did.
Ishii.
Yes. Tomohiro Ishii. So he's bounced back from those losses. As I say, he's kind of gone heel, but nobody wants to boo Luke Jacobs. They're all too afraid. So Zack Sabre Jr. again, you would say he's a bit more of an in-tweener. He's not quite heel. He's not face though.
Yeah.
So an RKJ definitely got booed when he turned on Oku during the recent live in London show. So they could definitely could push him down the heel path.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, with the progress on the heel side, it's kind of Tate Mayfair's, and then there's again, it's hard to think of who else.
Rob Drake.
Rob Drake, yeah, you could put him up there, but he's not in a big position right now.
Yeah, that's an issue, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they're gonna have to bring in somebody like a Haskins, like you mentioned earlier. somebody they can build. You could easily bring Chris Ridgway in without having to build him up because he holds 2 victories. He's a former Progress champion. It's an easy match to throw together. Haskins, I think, will need a couple of matches first. But for me, Progress, if you're listening, I would go to WXW Germany. I would bring in Robert Dreisker and I will give him the water treatment in the UK. Phenomenal heavyweight wrestler. I think the storyline writes itself, given the complete mismatch ideas of both what Lycos thinks of wrestling and what Dreisker thinks wrestling is.
I think that is a really genuinely good idea, Andy. I think you've put yourself forward there with an idea that would be a program that would last a year with a wrestler that is more than capable, and it's got the history aspect to it as well. I think it's a really good idea, mate.
Yeah, and he can drop promos in English.
Yep.
In fact, I had him on the show just last couple of years ago and spoke to him in full English, so he can do that. Either way, it's great for British wrestling right now. There are excellent promotions: North Wrestling, Pro Wrestling Chaos, Soft Pro Wrestling, Tidal, whoever you want to. There are lots and lots of great promotions out there, and they're all available to follow. And we urge that you do. We support British wrestling. We support independent wrestling. We support independent wrestling podcasts that support independent wrestling. And remember, folks, don't feed the trolls.